We had to witness Donald Trump traveling to Davos this week to speak at the World Economic Forum. This is the person who stood before and he called, he meant to say Greenland, but he mentioned Iceland 3 times. Before he left, he gave this rambling speech talking about his mom said he would have been a great baseball player in the major leagues. I mean, just on and on and on. I saw this tweet from, this is right winger Clay Travis, who supposedly does sports and now does news, but he's about as relevant on politics as Stephen A. Smith is. So he was like, "Oh, Trump is killing it in Davos." No, he was absolutely an embarrassment to this country. And now we're dealing with European countries who are now being targeted under assault because he wants to take Greenland. And he's made it clear they'll do it any way they want, even by force. We see Donald Trump also said while there that white genocide was happening in South Africa. Oh, he's going to dramatically raise European tariffs. We can go on and on and on. And there are some people who say, oh, no, Trump can do whatever he wants because Europe, they have to absolutely take it. I don't know about all of that. My next guest knows just a little bit about international affairs. She's a former national security advisor, former ambassador to the United Nations. Joining us, y'all, is Susan Rice. Susan, glad to have you on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Just give me your just initial thoughts about, as somebody who has spent so much time dealing with international diplomacy, dealing with these countries, what we are facing right now with the twice impeached, criminally convicted con man in chief, and how he has no regard even for our allies. Just your assessment. How does it make you feel to watch this in real time?
Well, Roland, it's good to be with you and good to be with your viewers. This is really a critical time in our relationship with our European allies and Canada, the Transatlantic Alliance, as we call it. And it's a critical moment because Trump has made it clear, even with his, perhaps temporary climb down on Greenland, that he has absolute disdain for our European allies and partners. He, in his speech in Davos, went absolutely off in ripping Europe as a whole, but individual countries and individual leaders by name. And then, the meta message of his Greenland gambit and his, hands-off approach to supporting Ukraine is that he doesn't really care about NATO. He doesn't care about the Transatlantic Alliance, and he doesn't understand or refuses to acknowledge that the only time the mutual defense provision of the NATO treaty was ever invoked was when the United States was attacked on 9/11 and our allies came to our support and defense and fought side by side with us in Afghanistan. And Denmark, from whom we're looking to steal Greenland, according to Donald Trump, lost more soldiers per capita in Afghanistan than the United States and virtually any other NATO partner. And this is the thanks they get. So our European allies have come to the realization, perhaps belatedly, and of course so has Canada, that they can't count on the United States. The trust has been broken. And once trust is broken, you cannot put that Humpty Dumpty back together. The Canadian Prime Minister, Mark Carney, called it a rupture. The head of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, said it was permanent, that rupture. So even as we, maybe paper over and figure out a face-saving way for Trump to climb down on Greenland, first of all, I don't put it past him to raise this back again. He drops things and comes back to them all the time. But even if he has dropped it for good, the message to the Europeans is that he's willing to use economic tools of coercion like tariffs to punish them for upholding their treaty obligations. And basically, he's given Europe the finger. And the only person on the planet who benefits from that is Vladimir Putin. It's the greatest possible gift we could give Putin and Putin's Russia, which has aspired ever since the fall of the Soviet Union, to dismantle NATO.
Um, I There was a lot of craziness that we heard in that speech, but this right here I thought just really jumped out. Let me just play this.
And then after the war, which we won it big. Without us, right now you'd all be speaking German and a little Japanese, perhaps.
Those are
Well, guess what? The official language in Switzerland is German. I mean, this is
It's one of them.
the lack of tact, knowledge, all of that. And the right goes, oh, that's the Trump brand. Oh, this is great. This is wonderful. There is no way in the world, these people would be as, I won't even say apologetic. It's just ass kissing. It's the cult. If Biden or Obama or Clinton said and did these things, but it's literally, oh, how more stupid can he get? Oh my God, he was amazing. Oh my, that was just stunning. It is wild how they just accept the pure ignorance of this man.
Or I don't know if it's ignorance or willful refusal to acknowledge the facts. I mean, just do a thought experiment for just a second here. Imagine if Joe Biden had stood up on the world stage in Davos and 4 or 5 times called Greenland Iceland. And nobody says a peep when it's Donald Trump. Nobody questions, whether, he's mentally fit or knows what he's talking about or is, acting in the national interest of the United States. And all of those are legitimate questions, obviously.
You mentioned tariffs and the way he operates. It's back and forth. Oh, yep, I'm going to snatch it. No, I'm going to do it. Oh, yeah, I'm going to pull back. Oh, but if you bring me a gift, then, oh, yeah, we'll let the Rolex watches in. How corrupt is this man? If you want to curry favor, bring him a gift. Or your FIFA, create a peace prize and put on a big old show at the Kennedy Center about how great he is.
Well, there's no doubt that a huge amount of our foreign policy seems to be dictated by his ego, and whether he feels sufficiently, kowtowed to by leaders around the world. But none of that has anything to do with the national interest. None of that has anything to do with our economic security and vitality, much less putting, food on the table of people in this country who are hungry and don't know where their next meal is going to come from or don't know how they're going to pay their health care bills or electricity bills. He seemingly could care less about that, but he's doing a hell of a good job lining his own pockets and that of his family and his cronies.
I look at Africa, fastest growing, 6th or 7th and 10th fastest growing continents in the world, extremely young continent. We look at what's happening when it comes to resources. And then we look at this list this man has put together, canceling visas, stopping people. The hatred of African nations is abundantly clear. The targeting of nations where there are black and brown people is abundantly clear. This man stood up in Philadelphia, if I'm correct, if I believe, gave a speech saying, can we not just get a few more people from Denmark and Sweden and Finland? Just a few. He's literally saying, I only want white people coming to this country. I do not want black and brown. He stands in front of the world and trash Somalis, their thugs, their pirates, how he shames and condemns. And unfortunately, many African leaders, and you've met with many as well, have to take it because unfortunately the type of foreign aid that we provide around the world, that does not bode well again for the future of this country, the type of attacks that this man is unleashing along with his right wing, his wingman, Elon Musk.
And J.D. Vance. But let's be clear, Roland, we're not giving foreign aid anymore like we used to. He's killed USAID. He's killed global health programs, and he's killed development programs, and he's killed support for democracy programs. So to the extent that African leaders, and too many of them are, kowtowing to Donald Trump, it's not for the money. It may be for corruption. It may be for business deals, but it's not for foreign assistance anymore. But the disdain you described, the hatred you described, that Trump clearly feels for nations and people of color is, not surprising, but it's really quite extraordinary. There's 75 countries now around the world, 75 countries that have been, from which we have suspended the granting of all immigrant visas. That's basically almost half the planet. And you're right. None of them are in Western Europe or Northern Europe. But he does not like he treats our European partners better either. I mean, he trashed Macron at Davos. He trashed Europe as a whole. He trashed Mark Carney of Canada by name. I mean, he's an equal opportunity bully in some ways.
Last question for you is this: what do people do? I when I travel abroad, when I was in Jamaica for vacation, there was a sister. She said, "I've lived here 5 years because I cannot deal with the craziness there." What do people do? What do you say to the folks who are watching? Got elections coming up in November, midterm elections. You got 2028, and all I hear from folks is, "What do we do?" What say you?
Roland, we have to take this into our own hands. There is no wishing this away, hoping it's going to get better, worrying about the price of eggs as being the most important thing that people vote on. Too many of us sleptwalk through 2024. And we are frankly part of the reason why we are getting what we've gotten. Not just us, but some of us. And frankly, yes, we have to register. We have to vote. We have to get other people out to vote. We have to say that we don't want to be part of a country where we're relegated back to the 19th century in chains and effectively, 3/5 of a citizen. That's the path we're on. And it's not just for Black people. It's brown people. It's Muslim people. It's disabled people.
Is women?
People. It's women. It's basically everybody who's not a rich, elite, white, Christian, straight male. And, everybody else is in the crosshairs. And so we have to recognize what this is, and we've got to stand up for ourselves. That the ballot box is a crucial way. But we are well down the path to authoritarianism in this country. When ICE can come to the door or the car of a U.S. citizen with no warrant and rip them out, sometimes in their underclothes, and disappear them, deny them access to legal counsel or their family or whatever. That's what's happening around this country, not just in Minnesota, but all over the country. That is no longer a country in which the rule of law predominates. And if we can either take it, or we can join with our neighbors and our communities and groups that are, allies and partners, and some that aren't right now close allies and partners, but face the same reality of one way or another being sent back to the 19th century. And we can protest peacefully, nonviolently, in a sustained fashion. That is what has worked time and again in many other countries in the world that have gone down a similar path. It has to be peaceful. It has to be nonviolent. It has to be mass, and it has to be sustained, Roland. It can't be, one city, and it can't be, every 3 months or every 4 months. It's got to be on a sustained basis, and we've got to speak out. We've got to be brave. We've got to remember that our ancestors bled and died for the right of us to vote and have our civil liberties. And we're going to sit here and let them be taken away and do nothing. It's time we recognize, what's at stake, and conjure a little John Lewis energy, and stand up for our rights, and bring others along with us. Because if we don't, they won't be here for long.
Susan Rice, we appreciate you joining us. Look forward to having you back on the show. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Roland. Good to be with you.
Likewise. I'll go to my panel. I'm going to go to Reese first. Reese, you say United States across the world. I mean, folk just roll your eyes. You go to other countries and then you tell them where you're from. They're like, oh my God, we got to pray for you because y'all got a madman. I mean, this man is absolutely and utterly insane. And you look at these nutcases on the right, they just go, bravo, bravo. He's amazing.
Well, he's dumb like them. I mean, this is the most incompetent, stupid motherfucker that we could ever imagine representing us on the world stage. You know, Davos is normally just a bunch of rich people getting together, you know, talking about AI or whatever the situation may be. And it has turned into this catastrophic, like, world crisis summit now where you have everybody trying to play defense and offense, and you have leaders trying to establish a new world order, which I would argue that the world order was always established at Davos and with all these wealthy people getting around smoking cigars and drinking whiskey. But it's all out in the open and nobody can turn away from it. Unfortunately, I don't think that this country really understands the severity of the damage that Donald Trump has done to the credibility of the United States. We should not be in 2026 relitigating a treaty that has worked damn fine since 1951. But what this man is doing is showing that this country has gone off the rails. There is no such thing as a check and balance on Donald Trump. He has surrounded himself with dumbass sycophants who are equally unequipped to challenge or to face the challenges that we have. And unfortunately, we have a president that wants to manufacture problems. And then when he gets a non-solution to the problem that didn't exist in the first place, he says mission accomplished like he's W on a ship. But the reality is the only thing he's accomplished is further weakening America. Now, I personally happen to think that that is the point for him. I don't think that he's an agent of the United States. I think he's an agent for himself, for his wealth, and for whatever is going to line his pockets. And so he does not have anything invested in making America stronger. And every single move that he's made points to that. And that's the only reason why any of this would make any kind of sense.
I mean, if you want to hear insanity, listen to this, y'all. This shows how insane this fool is.
And you can put that genius to work. And it's an honor to do it. In a way, I'm jealous. In a way, I'm upset. A couple of people in the room, I can't stand them, and they've become very rich. There's nothing I can do about it. I would screw them if I could, but I can't do it, right, Dina? I can't do it. I would if I had a chance, or I could just take them and say,
that's how stupid these people are. And they're like, oh no, that's Randy. Like, oh, that's funny, that's cute. Oh my God, he actually said that. I mean, oh, that was just so cute of Don saying that. He spoke, and former Vice President Al Gore, who actually has a Nobel Peace Prize that was given to him.
Right.
It wasn't a gift from somebody else. He was on CNN talking to Caitlin Collins, and let's just say he didn't hold back.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for standing, obviously, outside the room. And I would love to know what you thought of the president's speech, given you are obviously a very prominent U.S. Policymaker. And what did you make of hearing it from the U.S. perspective, given so many of the European friends that are in the room?
Well, I think it was a classic Trump performance. I would hate to be the fact checker that had to go through that speech. But I think there was one element of the speech that I would interpret as a positive. I think perhaps because of the stock market's reaction yesterday, he appeared to back down from his previous threat to use military force to acquire Greenland. And if I'm interpreting that correctly, I think that's a good thing. It was, of course, crazy that he would do such a thing in the first place, but I think he backed down, and that's good.
So you directly tie him making the clearest statement yet that the United States is not going to use military force to take Greenland. You think that's because of what happened in the stock market yesterday?
Oh, I can only speculate. I don't know what's inside his mind. It would be quite something if I could see inside his mind, but many people have speculated that the bond market and the stock market really have a lot of influence on him. And when it goes down almost 900% points, and people do interpret it as a sell America trade, that may well have been the reason he backed down. It may have also been that a lot of people who are close to him, who are more tethered to reality, convinced him that he had made a mistake.
And can I get your take on what the president...
Now, you know what's going to happen now, Randy. He's going to say, damn it, Al Gore said it, bomb him, take him. That's how stupid this man is.
And everything is about getting back at people. But, you know, it's so interesting to me. Trump never had a foreign policy. Even when he was running for president, he did not have a foreign policy. He only cares to how he's going to make himself richer and his cronies richer. And absolutely, Gore suggested it. He backed off of a little bit. But the only reason that Trump ever backs away from something is because it affects the stock market. It affects money. Money is his language of choice, his love. That is what he's focused on. You look at every time with the tariffs, every time he's gone back and forth, because he's always walking things back. He doesn't stick with anything. That's why they called him Taco, always going back and forth. He only has gone back, pulled away from things when it has hurt the stock market or financials. He gives no damns about how the United States looks to the rest of the world. He gives a shit less. It is about money for him, and it's about him, not the United States whatsoever. He does not act like an agent for the United States. He acts as an agent for him, white supremacy, and making them more powerful and richer.
And listen, it's very simple. His treatment of other European countries, and frankly, what they should do. They should form their own alliances. Ignore the United States. Yes. Create their own trade alliances, Greg. China is sitting over there going, ooh, thank you. This crazy-ass fool is back in office. Putin is happy. And yeah, this so-called border peace, whatever the hell he's charging $1 billion for, if you're a country that signed up for it, that money's gonna disappear. Y'all are being conned.
Yeah, and it won't matter because the BRICS is still it's in its infancy, but their payment system where they can engage in currency transactions, avoiding the dollar completely. It's in its infancy. It's not ready, but it will be ready at some point. Jared Kushner, a vile human being, unveiling plans for a mega city in Gaza on the bones of hundreds of thousands of Palestinians. I embrace Kushner. I embrace Trump. I tell you, man, let me just continue to say this. I embrace them because this is a criminal enterprise, and this is how it was always going to go. The only difference is you have Donald Trump accelerating the timetable. I mean, I encourage everyone. I agree with Reese. It's just rich boys coming together doing their thing. But let's be crystal clear. It's the people who think they run the world who come together at Davos. And when you heard Mark Carney give the speech that perhaps a John Kennedy or a Barack Obama, not a Barack Obama, I don't think, because by now the neoliberals have eaten the United States government. Perhaps John Kennedy would have given the speech that Mark Carney gave. Because Carney, the Prime Minister of Canada, talked about multiculturalism, multilateralism. He talked about a mea culpa, even the crimes of Western civilization, saying, and he even said that the system we live in, the post-World War II system, is a hypocrisy. It was designed to have a hegemon. The United States of America and the rest of the world, led by the Europeans, winked and looked the other way because it prevented wars. I encourage everyone to read Robert Kagan's article that just got dropped on The Atlantic a couple of days ago called America versus the World. He's a neocon, Brookings Institution. He's not happy about this, but what he's clear about is this. The United States, an empire in decline, hey, baby, it's over. Now, I don't mean it's over tonight. What I mean is that the world has moved on. Mark Carney just came back, as you heard Reese say, from what you just said, from Beijing, when he said new world order. Just that slow and with that pace. What he is saying is the racists of the United States of America, by withdrawing from their cousins in Europe, have now sent a message to the world that you can't be trusted to keep the peace. Finally, you know why we haven't had a world war since World War II? Because the post-World War II institutions, the United Nations, the World Bank, the International Money Fund, all institutions, by the way, that Carney critiqued by saying that there is hypocrisy there, what? It stopped the nations of the world from going to war. Let me be very clear about where we are right now and what we have to do. If I could have asked Ambassador Rice a question, since she's been in all these rooms and knows very well what Robert Kagan knows and what everybody else knows, Let's move away a little bit from the voting rights and be like John Lewis and have peaceful protests, and it must be peaceful. Madam Ambassador, can we talk real politics for a moment? What do you see as the future of not only the United States of America, but the European World Project, which began 500 years ago, which moved from Europe to the United States, specifically England to the United States, in a handoff that was culturally seamless, except the problem of the indigenous and us, and we've been fighting ever since and all along. And now it moves, to your point finally, Roland, from the United States to China. You know what Europe is doing? It's looking now. When she said the only person that wins from this is Putin, I wanted to scream. I said, Madam Ambassador, please get away from that Cold War rhetoric and embrace the world that you know exists, because you've been in them briefing rooms. Do you understand now that the EU, if they bond together, might be able to keep that European project going a little longer, but only a little longer, because China has made deals all over the world and is strengthening them. And unless I miss it, Canada has gone to China. Macron, who that fool in his disassociative speech made up a whole conversation of lies that he had that he didn't have with Macron. Macron been to Beijing. It's over. Not just the United States. 500 years of white supremacy. We're on the brink. Carney trying to keep it going, but if we're smart, we will rethink this entire thing. Ambassador Rice, I would have loved to answer those questions. Does she know what it is? I'm tired of them talking about this nativism in a soft power format. It's time for Black people to make a bunch of different decisions in the United States of America, because the world getting ready to move on from the United States.